Anton Wilson spoke about, and this has everything to do with the number 23. You know about the 23 phenomenon?
No, tell me.
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 They even made a movie about it with Jim Carrey, who is rumored to be a high priest, but I don't think there's much to that. They even made a movie about it with Jim Carrey, who is. They even made a movie about it with Jim Carrey, who is. They even made a movie about it with Jim Carrey, who is. They even made a movie about it with Jim Carrey, who is.
I don't either. You know, I've seen some of these videos where they're saying, "Oh, he's Illuminati" and all this stuff, and he gives these reporters, the people interviewing him, a hard time. I mean, that can be a career maker.
He tells them what's up.
Yeah, he does. It's like
he tells them what's up in real term.
It's like
he tells them what's up in real term.
It's like
he tells them what's up in real term.
It's like
he tells them what's up in real term.
It's like
he tells them what's up in real term.
It's like
he tells them what's up in real terms. But at the same time.
Get into this carriage and go for a ride. We got the green light now, let's go. There's nothing left to decide. All our foolish fears we left behind us with friends. We catch back up with them when the world comes to an end. You don't need no condemnation to pass. The old ways were born with one foot in the grave. They were never meant to last. And now we've got a new enzyme. We sail the seven seas until the end of time. Headed to a store, it's plain for all to see. They are the masters of their ship, but not their destiny. And you don't need no spaceship ticket to go. They'll file into their junk rooms until the gold mine begins to flow. You don't need no confirmation to pass. The old ways were born with one foot in the grave. They were never meant to last. And now we've got a new enzyme. We sail the seven seas until the end of time.
You know, I think whichever one makes money, you know what I mean? Get some money, start making some money. But, you know, my idea is that this space right here selling survival gear is not going to sell nearly as much stuff as a Playboy model selling beauty products. That's my logic. She's totally down with it, the idea, you know. So, I mean, she's already been coming up with ideas, and we're going to write a script for this first episode and get another model that we just have to pay $20 an hour. And they're going to act like they're fixing to go out to some club, some fancy new club, but they want to be more edgy. And so they're going to put on these temporary tattoos, you know. And then they're going to talk about boys and stuff like that, you know. It's kind of like just a scene, really, you know. But Kimber, she's getting all her money on the back end. You know, we don't have to pay her any money for, like, you know, doing the acting or whatever, you know. She's down with what we're doing. She's down with the whole idea, you know, that we're gonna make money on this motherfucker. And she's not getting part of the company either. You know, we're just gonna give her a portion, a certain percentage of the revenue, you know what I mean? And you and me will own it. Gerline. You know, imagine, well, you know, it'll be under Saturnian, but I'll have Roland draw up the papers. Where, like, the company Gerline West, you know, it'll be owned basically by you, me, and Roland, you know, certain percentages and everything. And it'll be under Saturnian. It'll be getting the protection of Saturnian, but it's its own completely separate deal, you know. It's owned by, you know, you, me, and Roland.
Out of curiosity, like, I'm totally down with Saturnian. However, is there a potential for me to be an LLC individually under Saturnian?
How that would work is you would be your own LLC, and so instead of Xavier, 5 or 30% or whatever of Gerline West, it would be the name of your LLC would own it. You know what I mean? And then you.
That's not a problem.
Huh?
I mean, that wouldn't be a problem with you or anything?
No, that's cool. It protects us. In other words, like, if you got sued or something like that, you know, or if I got sued or something like that, I see. Keeps anyone from taking anything away from you personally. You know what I mean? If something really bad happened where your LLC got sued, you know, they could just sue your LLC and get all the money out of it. They couldn't come get your car. They couldn't take your house or anything like that. They couldn't, you know, that's the main reason people have LLCs, for protection.
Sense. It's probably server based. But, you know, there's such a learning curve to figuring out how to get stuff to go serverless.
Oh, you mean some of these websites are serverless now?
Yeah, that's the biggest thing nowadays.
Oh, wow. Is it like a virtual server or what?
I'm still trying to figure that out.
Yeah. Do you think Wix?
No, what do you mean?
Well, Bitcoin, the way I understand it, it's like this big program, and everybody that has the stock in the Bitcoins or whatever, they have a little part of the program. So you can't get the whole thing unless you have, like, all the stock or whatever. So that way it supposedly can't be, you know, hacked or whatever. But this program has to run off of something. You know, it has to be somewhere, basically servers. Well,
yeah.
Yeah. you know, and somebody was telling me that Windows 10 really sucks or whatever. I was like, well, what's the alternative? And I guess, I don't know, Windows 8 or something. I don't know. There is no Windows 9. Is there? There's not a Windows 9, is there?
No, they skipped 9.
Yeah.
Like usual.
Yeah. Somebody said because 9 is the number for failure or something like that.
Oh.
You know, some occult reason. I'm not saying that's true, but you know, 9, that's the number of Slipknot. You know what I mean? The band Slipknot.
The Enneagram.
And their symbol is the Enneagram. That 9-pointed, you know, it's like a 9-pointed star kind of. That was I don't know if it was created or whatever, or popularized by Gurdjieff. Have you heard of Gurdjieff?
I have.
He's a badass. There was 2 people that was after Gurdjieff and trying to kidnap him. Hitler and Stalin both wanted Gurdjieff. That's pretty badass, isn't it? One person that Hitler got was I can't remember I'm thinking of the name here in a second, but he was a real famous occultist, you know what I mean? He's able to, I don't know, I guess maybe he was able to see into super sensible worlds or something like that. I got this, I've been doing community service at Goodwill, and for some traffic tickets I got, and there's this book, it's like one of those.
How much?
How much what? How many hours?
How much community?
I have to do 15 hours of community service. I've already done 10. But I just have to do 5 more. I've been doing it at Goodwill. It's not that bad. I could definitely imagine worse. And Goodwill's a place I like to buy shit anyway, so I, you know, sit around and price it. Goodwill's a good place to buy shit. You can get good shit cheap.
We've got one.
Huh?
That's where I got my Thanos shirt. I didn't even know that was his name. I just saw that shirt and I was like, Saturn.
Oh yeah. What is it? Is it a T-shirt or what? Your Saturn shirt.
Yeah, well, like the Marvel Infinity, the bad guy is Saturn. I still haven't seen the movie, so that's kind of like maybe might be key to what's going on in the unconscious about it. I still have not seen this movie. I tend to pick the villains before I see the movie.
Oh yeah, I mean the villains is what makes a movie. If you don't have a good, decent villain, you have a shitty movie. That's why I'm signed up for to an agent. I'm gonna start. I've already applied for some audition for some roles on television and movies and shit. But right now, just small time, you know, movies and stuff like that. But I worked as an extra on that. Remember that show Revolution, that TV series?
No, what was that one?
Well, it was in 2014. It was the #1 show in the world. It's called Revolution. Anyway, I was in episode 18 along with hundreds of other extras. I was just an extra. But it was very fascinating, you know, to see how the whole Hollywood, you know, how it all works, you know. And then, of course, Amy, veteran of the motion film industry. Is that your dog?
Yeah.
Anyway, Amy was over here a couple days. I fucked the shit out of her. She's so fun, dude. I mean, it's fucking unbelievable. She anyway, she came over and she spent the night. I'm trying to call her earlier tonight, but I haven't got a hold of her yet. She lives about an hour away, out the lake. Everyone's saying I should quit seeing her. Like my psychics and shit like that, and some other people. Have you seen that latest interview with me and Bobby Bang Bang?
Not yet.
We're both talking about But neither one of us thinks space is real.
Oh.
And that's the first time I've ever admitted that on camera. I've been thinking that he's been thinking that way for a long time. I've been thinking that way. I mean, I'm not saying that's what I believe, because I have very few beliefs these days. Very few beliefs do I believe in anything. That's, I guess, maybe this latest phase of this conspiracy theory deal or whatever that I've been on for decades. But this latest phase has been just like shedding beliefs like nobody's business. You know, so a lot of people are just getting around to like shedding their belief that they told us the truth about 911. You know what I mean? I'm like way beyond that. Way beyond that.
But at the same time, it's kind of like there is a game about what people do believe.
Oh, yeah, there's programming. Yeah, our beliefs is the most important deal. That is the game somehow, for some reason. You know, the spirits and shit, they don't care about money or nothing like that. They care about what we believe. Big time, they care about that. And that's why you can see so many Christian underpinnings and everything. You know what I mean? Like all these, you know, stay in it long enough, then all of a sudden you find out all these, you know, satanic, quote unquote, satanic groups believe in Jesus. I mean, what the fuck? What's that? You know, they're over there talking about there ain't no such thing as Jesus and all this shit. Then they get behind doors and they believe in Jesus. You know, and they're doing all these rituals, and they'll open a big curtain and there's a guy up there on a cross, you know, crucified to a cross. And you're like going, what the fuck? I thought we hated Jesus. You know, it's weird, dude. Motherfuckers.
I don't know if you saw my post about seeing supposedly Jupiter through a telescope.
About a what telescope?
Well, interestingly, I got a telescope, and I've been sort of watching planets with my naked eye planets through my naked eye for a few years, and I pulled this one up through the telescope, and it's still just so hard to see clearly if it's not just, you know,
check this still out.
It's not just a bunch of projections or something, even through the telescope that I bought. And at the same time, I'm not even sure that I was looking at the right planet.
Yeah, I mean, telescopes are a bitch to mess with. I had one. It's just a cheap one I got at Goodwill at this auction for like $9. But I mean, it's pretty big. I mean, it's about that big or whatever, you know. But it's got some plastic stuff in it, you know. I mean, it's not like real fancy. But I was looking through it during the day, and I was like, oh shit, you know, if the lens is cracked, because it looked like it had cracks all over it. But then I just kept messing with that knob, and what it was is just some little branches of a bush, like down at the end of the block. So it really does work.
Hey, can you hear me now?
But you know, the biggest thing, you know, like what me and Bobby Bang Bang were talking about in that interview, is it's like, you know, there's so many people in the community that think they're like going to Mars and all that shit. That's fucking stupid, man. Going to Mars in a jump room. Have you seen my latest song?
Can you hear me?
I still haven't opened it.
Oh yeah, the song, man. It goes hold on, let me go.
No, it sounded like I maybe heard a little bit of a rustling, but check. Yeah, see, and I also got the little bars here to show, you know, if your voice is coming through and there's nothing coming through, like your microphone's not on. And if you have your GarageBand hooked up, that's probably what it is. I don't know if that's the same computer you use, but you know,
Can you see that?
Unhook. I mean, I don't know if you're using a laptop or not.
Yeah.
It says, we're headed into a storm. It's plain for all to see. They're the masters of their ship, but not their destiny. And you don't need no spaceship ticket to go. They'll file into the jump rooms until the gold mine begins, until the gold mines begin to flow. You know, it's talking about jump rooms. They'll file into their jump rooms, or let's see. They'll file into their jump rooms until the gold mines gold, let's see, until the gold mine, not plural, but singular, gold mine begins to flow. But you see, that's an obscure reference. Now, and I've already done a video on this and everything, but that reference to gold mine, you know, a lot of people are probably, or, you know, I don't know that a lot of people will listen to the song, but it's actually one of my best songs so far. But just the music and everything. It's, you know, you think gold mine, somebody might think that that's an Anunnaki reference, you know what I mean? But it's not. It's a Soviet reference. It's an obscure Soviet reference. Because when the Soviets were taken over from the Bolsheviks, you know, during the Russian Revolution, you know, all that, it was just a slaughterhouse. I mean, it was just a fucking slaughterhouse, dude. It was one of the most despicable, evil, twisted things in all of human history. But I talk about it on that interview with Bobby Bang Bang. What it is, you know, Stalin and all them, he was a young leader, and they would just commandeer trains, get a bunch of young people with guns, men, women, and everything, you know, really just teenagers, really. And they just take the train and just go down the track until they came to a town. And then they just take over the town. And they get everybody with guns. And they just go from house to house. And they get hundreds of people. And they put as many people as they could into a house. Where they're packed in there like sardines. You know, and I'm sure if anybody, you know, tried to resist, they just shoot them. You know, you see a few people get shot. That's what made everybody else cooperate. You know, plus they had guns on them and stuff. And so they get them packed in there so tight that you're just like this, like, you know, and then they close the doors. And then you know what they did? Nothing. They did nothing. They just did nothing. And you know, like I'm sure within a few hours, well, by the next morning, everyone was ankle deep in shit and excrement, you know. And then, of course, a lot of people were dying because, you know, you just, for a lot of reasons, it was probably, you know, they probably weren't cold in there. They're probably too hot because there's all the body heat, you know what I mean? But what they're trying to do is get everybody to that point where they're ready to give up their gold. You know, because the idea is that when the people want out, they'll tell the people holding the guns where their gold is, their hidden gold. You know, and I mean, first, the way they get it all started, you know, is they just go around with guns or whatever, and they, you know, get families and stuff like that, just shoot the parents, you know, right in front of the kids or whatever, and then ask, you know, whatever, if there's somebody there old enough to handle a gun or whatever, they're like, you want to come with us? You know what I mean? You just saw your parents got shot. You're like, well, you know, how bad do you want to live? You know what I mean? Yeah, okay. So, you know, then you go and shoot somebody else's parents, you know. I mean, it's just fucking sick, dude. And then they put people in these gold mines. That's what they call a gold mine. Well, ultimately, when they gave people a chance to get out, if you show us where the gold is, well, of course, there'd be many people that would be ready to get out of there. And so they would take them to where their gold was hidden or whatever, and they give them their gold. Well, lots of people would say they had gold, but they didn't have gold, you know. And so they go out there to where they said the gold was, you know, and then they take the person with them and they get out there, you know, and that gold, if that gold wasn't there, well, it's like Bobby Bang Bang said. He said, you know, they get capped in the head. I said, well, yeah. I said, or they get turned into a living statue. And he's like, a living what? I said, a living statue. And he said, what's that? Well, a living statue, it's so fucking cold over there in Soviet Russia. You can get a bucket of water and throw it out like that, and it'll freeze before it hits the ground. That's how fucking cold it is. So they didn't even have to strip their clothes off. They might strip their clothes off, they might not, but then they just throw water on them, and then they're just frozen. They're still alive, but they're frozen, encased in ice. Turn into a living statue, huh?
So the Soviets actually conquered the Bolsheviks?
They actually did what?
The Soviets conquered the Bolsheviks?
Yeah, the Russian Revolution started off as the Bolshevik Revolution. But it was all contrived from the very beginning. I mean, some people say it was a Jewish plot. Some people say this, that, and the other plot. Well, a lot of Jews got killed. I mean, so it's hard to argue that. But I mean, the thing is, it was just an Illuminati plot. You know what I mean? Perfect example, just kind of like in Hitler's Germany, the Night of 1,000 Long Knives. You get one group of bullies that you already control, and you have them, take over everything. And then when the time is right, you go kill all their leaders, and you take over with your other set of bullies. And that's you purge. You know what I mean? So it's like the brown shirts are the ones that got it in Germany. Before the SS and the black shirts, there was the brown shirts, and that was the main body. That's the main what did everything. But then the black shirts came along, and that was the SS, and they slowly started gaining power. And then they got to where they finally ruled it. And then on one night, they went around and got all the leaders of the brown shirts and executed them. And then dissolved the brown shirts, and all the brown shirts were given an opportunity to join the black shirts. You know what I mean? In other words, they basically just kill all the people that are loyal to you. You know what I mean? That's sick shit. Sick and twisted shit. But, it's just like somebody said, you'll know who if there is an Antichrist or somebody coming out like the Antichrist, you'll know who it is, because it's going to be the person that comes in and does away with the Illuminati.
Oh yeah.
Right? So somebody comes in and gets rid of the Illuminati and everything, and thinking, oh great, he's our hero. That's your Antichrist right there. He just killed all the people that were most loyal to him, or whatever. I mean, it's some sick shit. There's no honor among thieves, is there? But it's easy to understand once you realize that it's all non-human intelligence is behind the whole deal. There is no, and just like Bobby Bang Bang said that in the interview, and of course I agree with him. I've always felt that way. I mean, there is no group of people that's that powerful. They can just go around doing the shit that we see in the world today. I mean, yeah, people are actually doing it, but they're basically possessed or whatever. They're being orchestrated by non-human intelligences. That's easy to see for me. Most people, a lot of people think that, oh well, it's just these bunch of sick, twisted people they believe in the occult and stuff like that. Well, it's more than belief. That shit's real. I mean, it's either real or it's not. Like a lot of these people, even like some of the Christian, people that try to expose, these plots and stuff like that. They say, well, it says, I'm not. It doesn't matter if I think that this stuff is real. It's like they think it's real. You know what I mean? Like in other words, these leaders and stuff like that, and they do think it's real, and it is real. It's real. But it's kind of weird to hear Christians say that, because how come they don't believe it's real? They believe in, it's like saying you believe in God, but you don't believe in the devil. It's kind of like my parents. That's really what a lot of Christians are like. Which means they don't really believe in God. If you go around acting like you believe in God, but you don't believe in the devil, then what do you believe? Nothing. Hold on a second. But I mean, and I'm not saying I necessarily believe this, but this is one way of looking at it. It's like, it's really the worst of both worlds. It's like God's not real, but the devil is. The opposite of what most people think. Shit, I gotta put this thing back in. Didn't cook enough. Oh, right. Having T-bone steak. Is your wife at work?
No, she's still helping her mom move.
So her